gang? This is Mike with My Real Estate Dojo, and today I want to talk about what you should do and what you should not do when you're cold calling, okay, for lead generation. Alright guys, number one, what you should not do is talk a whole lot, okay? You should not be like, okay? And the reason you're cold calling, let's say the expired list or Craigslist or FSBOs, whatever it is, whatever list you're cold calling, a probate, whatever. Your first level is what I call, you're just trying to gather information. And now, cold calling, I have two levels, okay? I messed up, I didn't let you know. Level one is, you're just gathering information. Level two is negotiation and closing, okay? So at level one, whenever you're cold calling, let's say the FSBOs, all you're trying to do is gather information. And so to gather information, you can't talk a lot. Plus, in cold calling, if you talk a lot, you're not going to get the deal. So that's number one, what you should not do. Number two, when you talk to people, you can't be like very boring. Like your voice can't be like blah 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 blah. It needs to go like a heartbeat. It needs to go up and down. Some straight, some up and down, some straight. And that person has to feel your energy, feel you over the phone. Okay? Very, very important. It's not like a doll. It's not like you've been doing this is your 30th rejection. You're like, okay, they don't want it. Blah, blah. And it's just like this. Okay, you need to have that energy. Which brings me to point number three. In cold calling, you can get rejected a lot. Cold calling, you can get rejected a lot. However, it's very, very crucial that you have a positive attitude and that you have the confidence that the next deal is going to be that golden nugget. So the next shovel you digging, you're going to find that gold. And you got to believe that. If you're like, oh, this last guy said no and the other guy said no and the next guy going to say, he's going to say no, then you're never going to go anywhere. You're better off putting the phone down, go jerking off, and then coming back. Or doing it another time. Okay? So having a positive mental attitude, having the confidence that you're going to get the deal is very, very crucial. Doesn't matter what you're cold calling about. Okay. Excuse me. Now, the next thing. When you're cold calling, you need to have a hook, okay? Something that's gonna arouse the seller or whoever you're cold calling, arouse their brain. Want them to be curious. Want them to listen to you, okay? And the way to do that is, like I explained in my other videos, is you have to ask questions, but more importantly, if you have private information. For example, I'm calling regarding this specific address, blah 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 blah. Okay, which is gonna make him think, well, how does this person know about this? Okay, so you need to have something private. You know, maybe their last name or okay. Now, the next point is very, very crucial too. In the level one cold calling, where you're gathering your information, you don't want to be arguing with the seller. You don't want to be on the other side or on the other fence. They're like on one side and you're on this side. No matter what they say. If they say, you know, you have the tax roll and their house is worth 100 and they want 200, you're not going to argue with them at this point or anything like that, because you're not trying to construct the pipeline or the flow of water. You want that pipeline to be dilated so you gather as much as information as possible. You don't want to be on the other side of the seller where they're like this, they got their dukes up and now they're not going to give you information, because Okay, if the seller wants to sell for a very high price, no problem. As long as the terms make sense, you can make it happen. But you can't make the terms make sense if you don't have all the information, if you don't gather the information from the seller. So to do that, you have to be neutral. Your biases that you think they're selling it too much, or your biases that, hey, well, my cash is a deep discount, I can't buy your house, or the house needs a lot more repair. What are all the things that you're different about? You can't bring those up at this time, okay? Because it's going to cut off the flow of information to you. And in this business, we're problem solvers. We're just not numbers people, okay? It's not like we're engineers that if it doesn't fit this and if F doesn't equal mass times acceleration, then we can't figure the formula out. Because even though business is that way, but in this business, we do a lot of creative thinking and we solve people's problems, which is kind of like an artist. We have to be artists and we have to be mathematicians. We have to know creativity in different colors as much as we got to know physics. We got to know, emotions and stress levels and how to calm people and how to win people as much as we got to know fucking accounting. So that's why it's a very complex business. And it's going to take skills from you. So when you're talking to sellers, you got to make sure you don't make these mistakes that I mentioned and do some of the positive things that I mentioned, or you're not gonna get the deals on the cold calls. Some other things you want to make sure you don't do, okay? You don't want to interrupt the seller. Like if the seller is talking, you don't want to interrupt them, okay? All right? All you want to, which brings me to the next point. When the seller is talking, you want to put these little words in there that lets them know that you're listening. Like, oh, okay, go on, tell me more. Or, for example, if the seller talks about the renters, okay, well, how long have you had them in there? Like, I go what they want to go, okay? Does that make sense? And even though that end of the day, I know where I have to pull them back to the direction I'm going to go because I'm always in control, okay? Which brings me to the next point. When you're cold calling, you have to be in control, and the way you stay in control is by asking questions, okay, to get them back where you want to go, or insert phrases to take the conversation on the way you want to go, okay? Because we don't have to go in ABC like this in order. We could do circles and come back, okay, to where we want to go. But to maneuver is by asking questions. Now, some other things you don't want to do when you're cold calling is that have poor listening skills. That's really, really bad, okay? For example, the seller says, I have renters in there, and then 3 minutes later you say, well, are you living there? Well, like, no, dumb shit. I just told you, okay? Because poor listening skills and motivated sellers just don't go together, all right? Because they're already under a lot of stress. They want to make sure you care. You want to solve the problem. And how the fuck are you going to solve somebody's problem if you're not listening to them? Okay, man? Alright? Now, the next thing you want to do is very, very important, is that you want to build rapport with the seller. Okay? Earlier I mentioned to you that it's not all about the numbers. It's about creativity. And this is a great point. Building rapport is nothing about the task at hand. For example, if you guys are talking about numbers, and building rapport could be talking about their kids, their coffee, what they like to eat, if they like to work out, whatever is dear to the seller. Let me repeat that. You're not shooting the breeze. Like, hey man, today's game is about blah blah blah. It's not what the fuck you want. It's whatever is dear to the seller or dear to your customer, whoever you're talking to, whoever you're cold calling, is what they want to hear, what they're talking about. Like if they talk about, hey, my cat just died, then rapport building comes into play by listening to that person, asking them questions about their cat, how old was it. If you had a cat, if you had a loss in your life, now that's when the rapport building comes, okay? Now, the next thing is very, very important, which is advanced shit, is that with rapport building, you have to do one thing that most people don't do, which is connect with them, okay? And the way to connect with somebody, a cold caller or somebody over the phone, is, for example, in a situation where they're talking about their cat had died. If you had that situation happen to you, for example, my dog had died, then I would say, man, I really understand what you're feeling. I had a dog named, Cowboy, blah, 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 he died, and truly relate to them. Or if my seller's talking about, like, yeah, man, I'm lifting the weights, blah, 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 and then I'm going to find something that I have relationship, something that I relate to them, something that I connect with them, that says, look, man, we're exactly the same. And then talk about how I work out, and I've been working out since high school, and blah, 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 okay? So report boarding is one thing. Actually connecting with somebody is totally different. It's more advanced, and I highly recommend it to start doing that. But you can't do number 1 and 2, report building, connecting with them, if you don't fucking listen, okay? You gotta fucking listen, all right? The reason we ask questions is to listen, to probe, to let the information in. What good is it to not construct a pipe of flow of information if it's just going through one ear and just spilling right out? It's not going to do anything. That information needs to come in. You have to analyze it and then use it to solve the customer's problem. And that's why I say it's like physics plus creativity, okay? So cold calling is going to take a lot of skills. It's not just 1 thing, 2 things, 3 things, but it's definitely worth it for many reasons. 1, you can sit at home and do it. You can sit at the beach and do it. You can sit at whatever, Starbucks, and do it. 2, it costs very, very little. You already have the phone that you pay for on your cell phone or office phone. It costs very, very, very little. Which is 3, the return on the investment is significant, okay? Because your overhead is so low and the money you can make is so much. Number 4, it allows you to meet your customers and understand them. For example, if you are cold calling, let's say, owner financing buyers that have came to your website and they submitted a lead. Now, you have a property, now you're talking to them, you're cold calling, telling them about your property. You get to know how much they have down, how much they want to move, when they want to move. So the next property you get, you could cross-reference that, okay? So I highly believe in cold calling. It doesn't cost a lot of money. It's one of those things what I call for free or almost for free marketing tactics. And it's a great thing because besides the money, besides the ROI, besides not having to put a lot of advertising money into it, the other thing it helps you do is it helps you with your sales skills, okay? It helps you with your people skills, which is very, very crucial in negotiation, which is level 2 of cold calling, where you actually now go back and negotiate with the sellers. Now, I know a lot of guys don't want to do cold calling, they don't want to get rejected, whatever your story is. But trust me, if you do this every day, you call 25 people a day, and you do that 5 days a week or 7 days a week, in 3 to 6 months, you're going to get results. Now, that's the bare minimum, guys. I recommend that when you first start out, for the first 2 or 3 months, start calling 100, 200, 300 people a day, all fucking day, assuming that you're a full-timer. That way, in the first 2 or 3 months, you improve your sales skills, people skills, your ability to determine non-motivated sellers from motivated sellers, because you can see the kind of shit people say that fit into different categories that eventually gonna be like deadbeats instead of real deal motivated buyers or sellers. So make sure if you're not cold calling, you add that to your fucking arsenal of marketing and get to it. And once you get really good at it, then you can build yourself a team where now they're doing the cold calling, they're digging the ground, and then they're bringing you the fucking gold, and all you got to do is just purify it, and melt it down into, mold it to whatever you want, a gold necklace, a gold ring, whatever it is. Alright guys, if you like these videos, please like, Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please tell your friends and family about me. And go out there and hustle and bustle. Don't take no for an answer. And fuck all the naysayers. This is America. This is the best country ever. And you live here. You're alive. And don't settle. Don't get in debt. And fuck a TV. See you later, gang. Real quick, download my free book, Real Estate Investing for Beginners, the ultimate starter guide at myrealestatedojo.com, where I teach you how to find motivated sellers, buy their homes at a deep discount, and then have the seller become your own private bank. Subject to, get it now. One more thing, if you're looking for private one-on-one help when it comes to real estate investing, then consider joining my academy, where you sit down with me one-on-one. 2, you get monthly coaching. 3, you get access to my best-selling courses. 4, you get access to my video library, and then the list goes on, for just $97 a month. Join me now at MrNoFluff.com. Lastly, the best six-figure side hustle, bicycle flipping. Want to see how? Here's a behind-the-scene video how I did it. Go to thebestsidehustle.MrNoFluff.com. Now let's get back to the content.